We're going to learn about the Bracha of Slicha in Shemona Esrei. Last week we focused on the Bracha of Tshuva, and we spoke about being a scholar for Tshuva and how that's actually part of the Tshuva process, and the choice for Tshuva, asking Hashem to help us with it, and how we couldn't do it on our own without Kodesh Baruch Hu's help. Slicha, we're going to speak about the different Lashonos here, Slicha and Nefila, and we're going to contrast some of the different words, Avinu or Malkeinu, Mechal Lanu, Slach Lanu, and take a closer look at this bracha to understand the nuances and the significance of the contrast. Okay, so the first part we're going to learn from this sefer today is called Ha'aras HaTefillah from Rabbi Avi Oberstien in Haifa, and he brings the Gemara in Megillah. So this Gemara in Megillah is the same Gemara that goes through the whole Seder of Shemona Esrei, of why each bracha is where it is in Shemona Esrei. So the Gemara says on Daf Yud Zayin and Beis Megillah, Umaro loymar tshuva achar bina. Why did Chazal put the bracha of tshuva after bina? V'atachayni l'lamdas l'lamed l'enesh bina t'chsiv u'levava yavin v'shav v'rafalai. So it brings a pasuk that you see after bina comes tshuva. It's hard to understand. And then v'shav, he does tshuva v'rafalai. The Gemara says, look, right after v'shav, it says v'rafalai, refuah. And we know that the bracha of refuah doesn't come right after the bracha of tshuva and Shemona Esrei, isn't it? There's a bracha, one bracha in between, the bracha that we're studying. Re'eh also, okay, that's good. There's two brachas. Very good. There's two brachas. The Gemara asked that. Next. So, why doesn't the bracha of refuah come right after the bracha of tshuva? Yachi lema refuah basar the tshuva. So, I'll skip the parentheses. So the pasuk says that after tshuva comes slicha. V'yashav el Hashem, he'll return to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he'll have mercy on him, and he'll come back to Elokeinu ki yarba l'sleach, because he knows Hashem is very forgiving. So we see that slicha comes after tshuva. So now we have two psukim. One pasuk says v'shav v'rafalai, that means refuah comes after tshuva. The other pasuk that we're using to instruct us in the order of Shemona Esrei is the bracha that puts slicha after tshuva. So the Gemara says, why do we use one over the other? Why do we put slicha after tshuva and not refuah after tshuva? Why do you rely on this? Rely on this other pasuk that says refuah after tshuva. Skip the parentheses. So the Gemara says, Kasav Korach Rina, Hasalech l'chol avaynechi. So it says, Slicha, Hashem wipes away all of the avaynais, the averos of Klal Yisrael. Harayfe l'chol tachluechi, Hashem heals all of the illnesses. Hagoyal mishachet chayechi. So you see that here it says, Slicha, before refuah. It means first Hashem takes away the person's cleans their slate, then He gives them healing from all of their ailments, and then Hagal Mishachet Chayechi, this we're not getting involved in now, is that Hashem redeems a person from the depths. So the Gemara says, now that's a very good answer. So we have two psukim against one. Here the pasuk says again that slicha first and then refuah. But so we have one pasuk that says that slicha comes after tshuva, which is good. That's like the order we have. Another pasuk that says refuah comes after slicha, which is again good because that's the order that refuah comes after slicha. So these two psukim, they're overriding why we have this order. The Gemara says, but still, what do we do with the first pasuk of the Shav v'Rafalai that skips the step of slicha? So the Gemara says, the name of the Gula refuah basar slicha, but ksiv v'shav v'Rafalai. So you see the refuah comes after tshuva. So the Gemara answers, Ahu lab refuah de tachaluim hi. that when it says Vishav, Virapalai, Hashem heals, it doesn't mean He's healing from physical ailments. El refuah d'slichahi. What type of a refuah of healing is it discussing? It's the healing of slicha, of forgiveness. That means that the health of a person's nefesh, of his connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of being in a healthy state where it's not covered with dirt and not encased in an enclosure, that's something that's blocking a person's connection to his own neshama and to the kedusha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that comes through slicha. And therefore, this is a good Hagdama to the Bracha of Slicha, because we see that even though the Gemara is just saying there's two types of refuahs, but if we think about what that means, is that the same way that a person is very eager when they're sick, chas v'shalom, to get a refuah, and they realize that there's a big difference. Before they get better, they're aching and they're in pains and they're not healthy, things aren't going well, and then when they have a refuah, it's a tremendous simcha. So it's the same way when it comes to a slicha. A person realizes that there's something that they have baggage, averos, that they're carrying with them, and they have an opportunity to do tshuva, and then for HaKadosh Baruch Hu and His great kindness to grant them slicha, so that's also a refuah. It's a type of refuah, it's a nefesh. And that's what we have during these times to look forward to, and ultimately, Yom Tovim L'Yisrael, one of the biggest Yom Tovim was Yom Kippur, because Yom Kippur is a day of slicha. It's famous, maybe somebody mentioned this already, that we say L'David Hashem Ari V'Yishi, and there's a pshat that L'David Hashem Ari is the or, the light of Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah comes like a bolt of lightning in the darkness that lights up the night, and we see what life is about. We see what path we're on. We see where the world is headed and where it's going, and what everyone's doing, and how that the whole world is on a path towards a direction of going somewhere, and that we were created, it came from somewhere, it's going somewhere, we have a job in this world. It's tremendous light and putting everything into perspective. And then Yishi, David Hashem Ari V'Yishi, the Yeshua, the salvation, that's Yom Kippur. Because Yom Kippur, Hashem, is a day of Slicha V'Kapara, and that's the time of a person being saved, his personal salvation. Okay, so that's times that we have to look forward to now, and we're involved in. And too often it becomes too intense this time, that if it's too much for us, so then we just totally don't pay attention to it. Or if we do pay attention to it, we get very scared of it or depressed about it, and so on. But we have to realize that tremendous chesed from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and what we could do, whichever nekudas and whichever specifics we could change, that's a tremendous opportunity for us. And the other part of what's tremendous clarity in Rosh Hashanah is that when a person is similar to like a person having a near-death experience, and the person's life was almost taken, and then they were very sick, they had a refuah. The person was in an accident, chas v'shalom, and their life was hanging in the balance, they were saved. So when something like that happens, then a person now realizes that this life is a gift. It wasn't something to take for granted. It's not just taken automatic. So Rosh Hashanah is like that. Because Rosh Hashanah forces us to say, hey, wait a second. This is not something that's just autopilot. It's not doesn't happen by itself. It's something which could be otherwise. And we need a gzeira of chayim. And then we appreciate it. That's the biggest thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu could give us, that we appreciate the chayim that He gave us. Yes, we're going to take a look at the bracha. Slach lanu avinu. I have a sitter here. I was listening to a shir last night from Rabbi Pesach Kron, and the title of the shir was enhancing tefillah through learning. So the idea is like what we're doing, that if a person takes the siddur and they learn it, they make Seder limud out of it, so then it could change their whole tefillah. Because now, instead of just breezing through it, the person pays attention to the words that they're saying, and it has a spillover effect. Not just the things that we studied, but other things as well. Somebody mentioned to me this week that I don't know if he wanted to be mentioned by name, but he said he was saying Tachnun this week on, was it Monday or Thursday, and the only thing he knew about Tachnun before is that we try to finish as quick as we can. And this time he decided to pay a bit more attention to the meaning of what's the meaning of the words, not just what the words are, but what they mean. And he saw the beauty that's in this tefillah. And I say, and I think this person even suggested maybe we should learn about the Tachnun, because you recognize the beauty when you start seeing the translation, and then when you start realizing why everything is in its place, and and certain captions about this topic and how it's a progression that makes it's not just asking for the same thing over and over again, makes it all that more beautiful. So that's about Tachnun. But now let's go to a short bracha. We say it every day, 3 times a day, and even if we take 1 point out of this share, that's something that we could remember. Then it's a big thing, because we say this 3 times a day, and over the course of the week, maybe we say it, I don't know, how many times? 18 times? Okay, so the bracha starts off, Shlach Lanu. So we have a contrast in this bracha, and this is what it's going to speak about here in the beginning here. He's going to give us 3 pshatim. Maybe we'll walk away with 1, maybe all 3, we'll see. Okay, so... how's that working?
Because tomorrow, Shabbos, Friday night, they don't say Shlach. They only say... No Shlach.
Friday night not. But
so we say 5
I thought it was 16.
5 times 3 is 15, and Friday morning, Friday afternoon, and Friday mincha makes a 7.
Wait, there's 6 days in a week besides Shabbos. On Shabbos we don't say it. But
let's take 5 times from Sunday to Thursday is 5 times. It's 15. And Shabbos Friday morning, and mincha Friday afternoon.
Saturday night? Marav Motzi Shabbos.
Saturday night, yeah. Right.
That's why he's saying 6 days.
Yeah, right.
18.
Right.
Okay.
So, what's the number?
18.
Okay.
Okay. Unless, of course, the person, this we hope doesn't happen to us, but unless, of course, the person was not so careful on this Friday night or something, and they just kept going out to Chaynin, and then Shlach Lanu, and then they so then they could say Shlach Lanu, and then they need more than 18 times. Then they really need to finish off that Shlach Lanu, right?
Finish.
If you start the bracha, whichever bracha you started, so you finish. Yeah, it's not an avera. It's just that that's not the nusach of our tefillah on Shabbos.
Not appropriate.
Yeah, because we don't
Is
ask
the order
important? The order is important. Yeah.
Because I've been known to.
I don't know if it's ma'akiv. I'd have to look up the halacha.
I've been known to flip an extra page, and then I go, I'm starting, and I'm going, wait a second.
Right.
So
I think it is ma'akiv. I have to look at the halacha.
So what do you do? Finish what?
Like, let's just give an example. Like, let's say you said in this bracha Baruch Aleinu, you forgot to say v'sein talamatar, something like that, right? And so there is an option maybe to insert it in Shema Kaleinu, but if you don't, without that option, or you miss that, so you can't just add it in later. You can't just say, I'll just say the bracha Baruch Aleinu again, and then continue where I'm up to. You have to go back to where it is, and then do everything in order. Go out back to the beginning of Baruch Aleinu, and then let's say you're up to Ritzei, right? So you can't just say Baruch Aleinu again and then start from Ritzei. You have to go back to Baruch Aleinu, and then say all the brachas afterwards in order. I think the order is ma'akiv. I have to look up my bracha.
So if you flip the page, do you finish what you're saying and then go back?
I don't think so. In other words, you'll end up saying that bracha, but now you stop in the middle and go back to whichever bracha you're supposed to be up to.
So you don't finish. He's saying don't.
I don't think you finished that bracha.
Don't
No.
finish. Just go back. Whenever, as soon as you discover a mistake, go back to where you were.
You have to double check that.
So why would you finish it if you say the wrong thing
On Shabbos?
On Shabbos, why would you not just stop right
on
there?
Shabbos, really, you could daven. You could really say these brachos on Shabbos. Just
Right.
the menucha of Shabbos, and is that we don't have these extra brachos. We have a shorter, condensed Shemona Esrei, but really, it's not a problem to say it. So.
For the individual bracha.
Yeah, it's still said b'lashon rabim. This is the Gemara says in Megillah that really, or maybe Maseches Brachos, Gemara says in Maseches Brachos that really, even what's not Mesukin that we should say, we could still say it if we could still say it. So even though l'chatchila a person doesn't put themselves in the situation when they say brachos that they don't have to say, like tefillas nedava, because you might not have kavanah. So it's better only stick with what you're obligated to do, and not take on another Shemona Esrei which you might not have proper kavanah.
It's not a bracha on the Nevatana if you repeat it.
What is that?
Is it a bracha in vain if you repeat it?
Let's say a person would daven 4 Shemona Esreis one day instead of 3.
Yeah.
So there's something called tefillas nedava that the Gemara says Balavai Shispal Adam Kol Hayom. Be wonderful, but the thing is that it's not a good idea, especially Bisman Hazeh. Why? Because if you're on a high madrega and you can have perfect kavana, so then it's a good thing to take on a new Shemona Esrei. But if you can't have perfect kavana, it's better not to take the extra one on in the beginning. Stick with what you're obligated to. Stick with the basics. Okay. So anyway. So let's go back to Shlach Lanu, and we're going to see. It's going to bring out that the first caption is Shlach Lanu Avinu Ki Chatanu. Okay, so we have Shlach Lanu Avinu. The Lashon Slicha. I don't know how the article translates it, but I think it means like to clean the slate. Okay, and Shlach Lanu Avinu, our Father, Ki Chatanu, for we have sinned. Mechal Lanu, forgive us, pardon us. Malkeinu, our King, Ki Pashanu, for we have transgressed. Okay, so now it's kind of repetitive. It's the same thing, different words. So yeah, that's what we're going to deal with. Muskarim kan shleisha l'shonos, 3 different terminologies. Keneged shleisha l'shonos acherim, keneged 3 others. In other words, in the first one we have slicha, in the second one we have mechila, slicha l'umas mechila. Then who we're addressing in the first one Avinu, our Father. The second one Malkeinu, Av l'umas melech. And then the third contrast we have here is Chet, Ki Chatanu l'umas pesha Ki Pashanu. So what is the distinctions over here? The name was Shloisha Perushim. The first one Ha'avudraham. Mevayer, he explains Shechet hu shageg upesha hu mezid. So we start from the Mikal al Kavod, from that which is more lenient, that which is more strict. So the first thing we're asking forgiveness for is for the things that we did by accident, that which we shkagas, chet, chatoim, are things that were unintentional. Pesha, pesha is more of a transgression. That's something that's amazing, intentional. So we ask for forgiveness for that too. Now we get into explain why the first thing, when it's the mistakes, we're asking Avinu. So a father, when he sees his son did something wrong, even if the son did it intentionally, the father has a capacity to view it in a benevolent, merciful light, that he didn't really mean it. It was really sounded totally his fault. It's a shkaga. So the father could be saleach in that venue because he treats it like a shkaga. But when you're in front of a king and then you do something wrong in front of the king, and in front of the king, any slip that a person slips up is a real transgression. So therefore, this is 2 opposite sides of a coin. And by the king, a person, even if he does something by mistake, that already is a lack of carefulness, and is something that is tantamount to a rebelliousness of almost like a mason. V'shekosov melech b'mishpat yamid eretz. The melech has a strict judgment. That's how he upholds the land. So therefore, how does that play out here? If we're like sons, and you treat us that it was b'shayeg, because that's your relationship with us, then you'll look at it like a shayeg, slach lanu, then give us a slicha. Then kavadim, and if we are like servants, and the servants don't have that same rachamim from their father, but still mechal lanu, still give us a mechila. Now he doesn't explain yet what the difference in slicha and mechila is. We're going to see in a minute. Now slicha is a higher level of kapara. In other words, the slicha means that it's like it clean. Okay, think about it like this: that you have ketchup on your shirt, you put it in the washing machine, and you come out after one cycle, and there's no more ketchup on the shirt, but there's still a stain. Okay, and then you say, "Oh, that wasn't good enough," and you take that. What is it called? The stuff that you pour straight on the stain right before you put it in the washing machine.
Resolve or bleach, one or the other.
Bleach.
Okay, or maybe the bleach.
As long as it's a white shirt.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, then you put it in for a second cycle, and when it gets out, it's totally gone like it was like in the beginning. So then that's slicha. Okay, the slicha is that it's totally clean slate. So that fits in with what he's saying, that when it's a shgaga, when it's something that was an accident, that a person did unintentionally, the level of kapara that he could get, he's asking for is in a higher, more total level of kapara. So, Avinu, ki chatanu, for the chatoim, we're asking for slicha from our Father who is more benevolent and more merciful, and we'll look at all of the excuses that we have that could come into play for us, and he'll consider those. And Mechalanu, Makenu, Kifashanu, I guess just because of our remorse and because we're asking for mercy now, even if it was amazing then, and really there's no way to look at it like we didn't do anything wrong, but still pardon us, and even though we did something wrong and it was a pesha, be mochel, because now we're asking you for mercy, we're asking you, the King, to help us out. Okay, now comes another explanation. Part of it we already mentioned from Rav Yonasan Eibeshitz. That's how the Yars Tavash. Mevayer shechet hu chad pa'ami. Okay. The achet is something that a person felt one time. Okay, that one time, maybe two times. The point is that this is not a way of life that he took on. This is not something that has become his habit and his derech hachayim. He was nichshal. He did a chet. Upesha who come upon him. But when a person was pesha, that's numerous times. Pesha, we're more familiar with the word pesha. We translate here transgression, but a lot of times if we're learning, we'll use the word pshia. Negligence, good. When it comes to shomer, was it a level of pshia? So then every shomer is chayiv. If he was negligent and something happened, then he's responsible for it. Okay, so in this term, we could hear where that word comes in more, because the person now, it wasn't just a mistake. This didn't just happen one time that he was nichshal. This is now like he knows this is coming. It's happened before, and he still lets it happen again. So upesha who come upon it. Kimai. Now he gives a place where we find in Chazal such a word pesha in such a time that a person did it more than once. When it comes to the din of Erev Tavshilin. Erev Tavshilin is what we do to start preparing for Shabbos that follows after Yom Tov. So, right? So like let's say this year, exactly. So instead of, we can't start preparing on Yom Tov for Shabbos, but if a person already made Erev Tavshilin from before Shabbos, from before Yom Tov, so he already began the process, so now he's allowed to continue cooking on Yom Tov for Shabbos. So the person who forgot to make an Erev Tavshilin one time, so he has a backup. What's the backup? Anybody know?
You go ask someone, can I rely on yours?
The Rav.
The Rav
The Rav of the shul, the Rav of the community does it, and he has everyone in mind. but a person can only use that the first time. After the first time, so then he can't rely on that anymore.
We're in trouble this year. We got 3.
Is it strictly the Rav? Because the wording of the bracha, when you say it, is for me and for other
all of Israel,
all the other residents of the city. So does it have to be that you're relying on the Rav? Since the wording.
Everyone says that. Does everyone say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, that's a good question. I don't remember the answer, but it's only at one time. So the lashon that Chazal use when they say somebody who happened to them more than once. So it says like this: So the Gemara says then he's already called a Pesheya. So then that doesn't help for him. Okay. So now we're going to do the brackets here. We already mentioned this idea. From the Rabbi Avi it becomes clear the following: that slicha is total erasing the chet, like it's gone. As if it never was there. So we find such a thing by when it comes to nedarim. There's 2 different levels of removing a neder. A chacham, when you come to a chacham and you say that have a Pesach, if I would have known something was the situation, then I would have never done it. So that's one way that the chacham, or maybe 3 chachamim together, they could be oger neder l'mafreya. Okay, they could make it that retroactively this neder was gone. Okay, meaning the whole thing was a mistake in the first place. It never should have been. If he would have known, then he wouldn't have made it. So they could say, oh, then the whole thing was all on a mistaken premise, and the whole thing wasn't valid in the first place. But you need them to trigger that heter. So they're mater. Mechila he mikanu laba. Ki mechilas chayv. Shehaya el shenimcha mikanu laba. V'daim lafaras baal she mikanu laba. Mechila is similar to what we say by a father, that the father for his young daughter has an ability that when he hears about her neder, and he says on that day that he doesn't, he's not happy with her neder, so then he could be mochel, he could be made for the neder. But made for the neder, that's mikan haba. So it means that it was a neder, and he's not uprooting it from the beginning, but it's like somebody has a debt, and they owe money, and then the one they owe money to says, I'm forgiving the loan. So he's not undoing it. The guy still borrowed the money. He's not taking back the money. It's not like as if it never happened, but he's not demanding payment. Mm-hmm. So now there's no continuation of this loan. It's cut off now. It's discontinued. So, and that's the same thing between mechila and slicha. That's the difference between mechila and slicha. So,
how can you compare a neder to a chol? A neder is something that you make voluntarily. A chol is something that you must return. You're not saying it's not a neder I'm going to pay it back. That was the original premise on which the loan was made.
Yeah. So there are 2 things. It was comparing 2 different obligations. One is to pay up his loan, and the other one is to keep his word that he made a neder. So in both instances, it's possible to have that a person wouldn't have to keep his commitment anymore. One is if a person made a neder, a young girl, and her father has an ability. The Torah gives him this ability to say that it's not this neder. You don't have to keep this neder. So the other example is that if you're the lender, you're the one who's owed the money, you could say to the guy, look, I'm mochel v'chov, you have to pay me, and then from now on, I'm pater, you don't have to pay. From now on, you're pater, you don't have to pay me. Very nice guy to do that, right? There's a question when it comes to Shemitah this year. At the end of Shemitah, if a person didn't write a prusbal, and the loans get absolved in the end of Shemitah, so what is that? Is that I guess that's only from then on. Kata demalka, the Torah says, made a loan, but don't have to pay back. Okay, we're not getting into those laws because there's still a mitzvah to pay back, even though he can't demand the payment, and think it's before this Rosh Hashanah that we write a prozbul. That prozbul is like a little star they'll give out, and if anybody owes you money, so then you'll want to have this prozbul, and it basically says that your loans are given over to Bezdin to collect for you, and that way Hillel is masakin that your loans don't become absolved, because the Torah only forbid you to demand back payment, but not Bezdin. It's already like it's collected. So okay, that's a whole different.
Is it really binding, the principle? Is it really binding?
Yeah, the loan is binding in the first place. Just this is a way that the loan doesn't become absolved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it seems to be implicit here that you can't get slicha for a pesha.
Yeah, it does in the beginning. But I think that we're going to see that he doesn't really mean that. What he means is that as long, I think that we'll see a little bit later, what he means is that as long as it's treated like a pesha, you can't get slicha. But there's going to be a way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he treats us like a father, so then he could say, I'll look at this dainas like shkagais, and then I could take it down one more notch to be salech. Okay, could be to do different levels of tshuva also. In other words, to one level of tshuva, Hashem will say, okay, we'll treat it like a shkaga. And then if it does more tshuva, then it could even take it down, like the washing machine example. Like the more charata and the more a person, realizes what he did wrong and wishes he had never done it, and he's mitzvah over what he has done, and feels this yaga and vanacha in his heart that on what he had done, and he absolves in the future that he's never going to do it. So then, there's different levels that a person could totally clean up.
It's almost as if slicha it's like forgiven and forgotten, and mechila is forgiven but not quite forgotten. In other words, if you keep on,
let's say exactly. Like let's say the bank says like you don't have to pay back the loan. Like okay, but you're not getting a good credit line over here. You know.
No, if you correct your ways, then what was not forgotten, now it's going to go to other categories. It's going to be also forgiven and forgotten.
Right. Then your line of credit's like back to where it was in the beginning. Okay. No, never.
No, you get your R9 and your designation and your credit rating.
So now, so now at the end of the brackets, he says over here. From the Yaris Vash, it sounds like if it wasn't totally absolved, so then a person, Chas v'Shalom, might have to still suffer Yisurim to be mechaper on it, and together with Yisurim, it could be mechaper because it's still not fully gone. So the Zubak Hashasenu im chatanu anu adayim b'vchinas banim. If it was just that was only one time, and it was occasional slip up, so then we are still children. So now we ask our father about Avinu, you're our father, Mevakshu Manuslach Lanu, the Gami, totally. Avolim Pashanu, but if it was so numerous times, and now it's with negligence, Al Yadei Kachis Rechaknu, so now we have been distant so much, now, not through our choice, but we have been reduced to the level of relationship of Avadim, that without that closeness, because we ourselves distance ourselves, and you are king, so then, still as Mechalanu, still we're asking for mercy to pardon us, but we still might have to accept Yisurim.
So it would be like chutzpahdik to ask for slicha for pesha.
Yeah, and that's the way he's saying it. But I think that the Mesilas Yesharim says that even if a person is chayav Yisurim, some things that you need a person needs Yisurim to cleanse himself. Still, the person's own internal grief over his avera could accomplish as much or more as what external discomfort Yisurim could accomplish. Because Baruch Hu has to remind a person that he did something wrong and he makes him uncomfortable, chas v'shalom, and he makes him sick or in pain or whatever. The person doesn't have to wait for that. They could have a self-imposed feeling that at the designated time, we're not saying to walk around and make everyone else miserable around you. But if a person is holding on this madrega where it's not going to make that take away from their simcha and their rest of avodas Hashem, they could still remember and wish they had never done something and continue to do tshuva for it, not just do tshuva and then go on, but continuous tshuva. So then that feelings of realization how was so good, not good for his own self, and how could he have done this in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So that could be in the place of Yisurim.
So, Rabbi, I hate, just so I understand, I hate even if it's accidental. So, for example, I went to a restaurant last night, kosher restaurant. The next day, the guy said, "Shlock I say went because he was mixing basar with challah." I had no idea. I followed it. So, is that a hate that I need forgiveness for? Is that I didn't do anything wrong? I mean, it was.
Right, that's a good question. So in that case,
that's a minus. I think more the accident we like. Let's say you have forgotten the Shabbos and you just flipped up the light. Okay, that was under your control. But if you just a lapse of memory, the example you're bringing is something that's totally out of your control. There's nothing would have stopped.
And there's a cheskas kashrus, there's a cheskas nemanus on this yid that he's doing the right thing, and so on. So in terms of what you did, you didn't do something wrong. But in terms of what you ingested, the Chazal says specifically about food that there is something a timtum alev, and maybe there's ways to try to reduce that. But person was still negatively affected by they ever ingested something that wasn't kosher.
The Muncie chicken scandal.
Yeah.
The whole community. I think it was Muncie, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was one.
It was also Los Angeles, no?
So right, like we're saying, there is a level of einus. Okay, so I guess this is saying when a person had some level of lack of carefulness. Okay, he didn't realize what he was doing. He thought he was doing the right thing, but there was some level of cautiousness, or he forgot that it was Shabbos, but maybe he shouldn't have forgotten that it was Shabbos, something like that. Okay, it was Shabbos 10 minutes ago. It still should have been Shabbos, but somehow he forgot that it was Shabbos.
Or you lean against the wall and the light switch happens.
Yeah, right. So lean against the wall, then that's even less, because that's like a misasik. Like he didn't even mean to do that action in the first place.
So is a pesha a higher level of carelessness?
Yeah. So pesha, right? Pesha he's saying is a zadan. Pesha is something intentional.
Intentional.
Yeah, a person knew it was wrong. He did it anyway. Yeah.
Well, that's the first.
The first opinion, you're right.
Yeah.
First opinion. The second opinion, the Aras Dvash, was that it's repetitive, and so we were linking that to Pasheya of being negligent. Okay, they're both worse. Either way, it's worse, right? Okay. Now let's go to the next shot. Is Rabbi Avram ben Hagra, the son of the Vilna Gaon. Mefarish shechetu ma'aseh pagum. Milashain Kaileya. We are over time now? Okay, so let's just finish up this last shot and then we'll stop. Rabbeinu Avram ben Agram Mefarish Shachetu Ma'aseh Pagum Milashain Kaileya Lashar V'lo Yachti. So here in the pasuk, it's talking about somebody aiming an arrow at the bullseye of the target, okay, and he misses. So, or he doesn't miss. V'lo Yachti, he won't miss. So the word Yachti, Chet, means to miss. Okay, something lashon chisaron of lacking or missing the mark. So chet in this context, he's saying is a ma'aseh pagum. What's a ma'aseh pagum? Something a person did, something in action that was imperfect. There was something incorrect about it. It was lacking something. Upeshahu. Okay, I guess the example on top of my head is, let's say a person was davening Shemona Esrei. He said a bracha, and he had to have kavanah. He realized what he's standing in front of, and what he's doing, and he didn't. Okay, or not the right amount. So that's ma'aser pagam. Upesha hu she'ein chavetz l'kabel al atmei malchus shemayim. Okay, a pesha is that it's worse. A pesha will translate it as a rebelliousness. Now, okay, so it means he's not accepting on himself the yoke of heaven. He's removing himself as if he's not underneath the rulership of heaven. So now that we know that there's a distinction between chet and pesha, chet being that a person did something wrong, and pesha being that a person took a whole attitude of not being under the domain of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So now slicha al chet atmai. When a person asks for slicha, they're asking for the action itself. They did something wrong, and they want that should be removed. That's the stain from that action. A mechila he ala kavod. When we ask for mechila, we're not asking for the action itself. There's something that besides the action itself that was destroyed over here in the relationship, and that is the kavod. That we didn't, not only we did something that we weren't supposed to do, and we did something that was negative for us to do, but we didn't have the kavod for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We didn't accept Him as being over us. A king that is mochel al kavod. You see the lashon of mochel when it comes to being mochel and kavod. So now, Hashem is our Father. Hashem gave us. He's our Father in the sense that He's given us everything, made us who we are, and given us all of the keys to the Otos HaTorah means that Hashem gave us the ability to keep all of the commandments in the Torah, gave us the advice of how to do it, and the source of everything that we need. We should have done only good things. So we ask Hashem as our Father, our Provider, that we didn't make use of the opportunities He gave us. But that's as far as our Father. So we ask, when it comes to Chayatoim, we say, Hashem, You're our Father, and if we didn't make use of the opportunities, so please be Seleach us, and we didn't do things perfect like you gave us the ability to do. But since He's our King, we didn't accept His kingship on us, or not to the proper degree, or not constantly, and so on. Please be machal on your covenant, and that's machal lanu kifashanu, because we didn't have the proper covenant, we didn't have to keep ourselves in the proper relationship as you as our king and us as your subject. So 3 different pshatim in these 3 different contrasts that we have in the bracha. One from the Abudraham, second one from the Yaras Tavash of Yenis and Eibeshitz, and the third one from Rabbi Avraham ben Agra. And either way, we have a lot to daven for, and maybe one or some of these we could have in mind. Sometimes when we daven, we have how many opportunities a week? 18. Okay, that's the kind of.